Good evening, everybody in Facebook land and YouTube land. What is new? We are here on Aft Deck talking about Star Trek Discovery, Episode 5, Die Trying. So let's see who's joining us tonight. Magic Mirror, who do you see? Magic Mirror sees Dove Baralon and Vandy Beth Glenn.
Yay!
How exciting!
It is exciting.
How are you both?
That's new opening music, isn't it?
It's been 2 or 3 weeks now.
Okay.
But you've not been on lately. You've had a little break from us.
Just last week, I think, wasn't it?
Oh, I was thinking it was 2.
Hmm.
Anyway, so yes, it's new-ish. So
Well,
how
I
are
like
you
it.
both? Well, thank you. I'm so glad. How are you both tonight?
Well, I'm doing great.
Good.
It's always good when there's a new episode of Discovery out, but also just it's been a good day. So, yeah, no complaints.
Glad to hear it. Vandy Beth, how are you?
I'm okay. I've had an okay day and a really good week commencing last Tuesday. Well, no, not commencing last Tuesday, but improving steadily since last Tuesday.
How did last Tuesday go?
It was a very long day. I was
Yeah.
working for over 15 hours at a polling place here in DeKalb County, Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a long day. I'm an assistant manager at that polling place, and it's very difficult and very grinding work, and our polling place isn't even one of the ones that makes the news.
Were you busy?
We were busy. We were very busy.
Okay.
We set up all 14 of our balloting machines, which we had never had to do before for the primary or the runoff. We'd never run more than 8 of them before. And we had a steady stream of people all day long.
Wow.
Also, though, we had many more employees than we had for the primary or the runoff. So I was heartened to see the people of the county really turning out to participate in democracy.
Okay, so I trust that you both watched today's episode.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Excellent. So tell me general impressions, not spoilery yet, but what did you think of the episode? I mean, this is a big one.
Oh yeah.
This is a big one. So what'd you think?
Well, I was surprised that with as much as they did in the episode, that it didn't feel rushed, and that it felt still relatively character driven, which I thought was really cool. Like they actually did a really good job of making it, a good Star Trek story.
Yeah, I agree. There was many things were happening from start to finish. There was action and there was excitement, but it had a philosophical core, which all the best Star Trek episodes have. So that was very pleasant.
So Tony has seen the episode. Excellent.
Yay.
And
Yay,
George knows that we save our ratings till the end of the show, but he's already thrown his in a 6 out of 10, which is, I think, the lowest that George would have given any episode so far this season. That's interesting. I wonder if that's because of if there were expectations that weren't met, or if it was the slower pace. I don't know. So let's jump right into the beginning of the episode. Oops, I meant to take that off. Wait, hold on. Did you guys see the ship call sign?
Tribute. No. Yeah, there was the Voyager.
Oh, that. Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood his last word. There were 2.
Yeah, there was also the USS Nog.
The Nog.
USS Nog.
Yep. And that's what I was going to start with, is that big scene leading up to the uh, uh, credits where they finally find Starfleet, and Starfleet is hidden behind this big shroudy sort of curtainy thing, and they go inside and they are in a wonderland of the future.
Yep.
Lots of new ships. They're agog at all these new developments, like organic Starfleet ships and holographic wall Starfleet ships and detached nacelles. How does that even work? Where do they even put the warp core? So I thought that was a really exactly. I thought that was a really lovely scene. I loved the enthusiasm and the wonder and the scenes of the crew who were, like, I guess non-essential, like rushing through the hallways trying to get to a portal to see outside. I thought that was really, really well done.
I turned to Ace during that scene and I said, this is how ship porn should be. Like, this is, it's not the 4-minute, multiple buy through, flybys and the motion picture, but it's like still showing a lot of stuff, and it's just a lot of wonder. I loved it.
Yeah.
Well, but it's the same thing as that thing in the motion picture, which those big space panoramas of sentimental looks at ships. They go back to that well quite often. They do the same thing at the end of Generations, Star Trek Generations. They do that in a lot of.
And they did one in Lower Decks.
Yeah, they did, but in Lower Decks,
they did.
That was great.
That was the best. But the weird thing about this one, this is very different though, because the entire thing you see from the crew's point of view,
right,
through a portal or through the view screen or whatever. There's no camera panning around these new ships. So we only get little snippets of them. I thought that was kind of an interesting differentiation.
Yeah. I kind of preserved a sense of wonder and a little bit of mystery, but it kept it moving fast. Like, that's one thing I think this episode did amazingly well, was it kept everything moving. I don't think that it really lagged, and especially not during the part where you'd expect it to lag.
Well, I wouldn't have minded if they had lagged a little bit more in that sequence.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
I'm a Star Trek ship nerd, and I love new designs, so I really would have liked to, especially the new Voyager. I would love to have seen more of what it actually looks like.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that.
But I'm sure that we're going to be seeing more of these things as the season progresses. Tony noticed the USS Nog. I thought that was a really, really sweet tribute. To our fallen Aaron Eisenberg.
Yeah.
Elizabeth.
Although it doesn't even have to be about Aaron Eisenberg, because the character himself ultimately was worthy of having a ship named after him.
Absolutely.
I'm waiting for a USS O'Brien personally.
The most important man in Starfleet.
He doesn't get a ship. He gets an entire planet or a solar system or something.
Starbase O'Brien.
Exactly. Exactly right.
Planet Miles.
Right next to his orbiting moon, Keiko. Anyway, Elizabeth pointed out a new Constitution class, the Enterprise, perhaps. Probably not. I think we had a whole season of Enterprise last year, and I think they would have focused on it had that been the case. I wouldn't doubt that the Enterprise will show up this season, but I don't know. I think we're kind of done with the Enterprise.
Right.
I agree.
I think if we see an Enterprise in 3188, they'll either play it for laughs some way, like it'll be a decrepit old garbage scow, or
the Enterprise J blew up in the Temporal Wars,
Right. Exactly. Yep. That's the other option. There will have been a recent Enterprise, but it was destroyed tragically.
Yeah.
And,
what letter would we be on now, or are we in double letters yet?
Well, the J was what existed in the 3000s. So the latest we've seen was the J, and that was in like the year 3000 something. So
that's true.
Well, it also depends on at what rate
Mhm.
at what rate the ships get destroyed.
Right.
Exactly. It would be hilarious if we were down to X already.
Right.
It would be like
a year.
it would be like Murphy Brown's Assistants, a new one every episode.
Or like they've used up the Greek alphabet and now they're getting Chinese characters.
Okay, so our crew, well, 3 of them, beam down into Starfleet headquarters, and we meet an admiral and some underlings. What stood out for you about those scenes, about these new characters that we met, and about the dynamic that they set up?
I thought they struck a good tone, but I don't think the characters themselves were particularly memorable. I mean, they didn't have a whole lot of time to establish them, which I guess is fine because, let's face it, Starfleet has always been supporting characters when it comes to Star Trek. I think that the commander in chief was he was great. He was personable. I think he'll be a fun character, but I don't think that we're ever going to get much of a glimpse of these guys.
Yeah,
I agree that they were mostly forgettable. I disagree with the exception of David Cronenberg's character.
Oh yes,
obviously.
Yeah, well, of course.
Who
That's the most.
was not given a name, but I loved how he held his. Is that right?
Yep.
He wasn't named in the dialogue, and last time I checked, IMDb didn't have a name for his character yet. Incidentally, we are all wearing glasses, and we do all look smart.
Absolutely. This is our David Cronenberg cosplay.
Right.
And I know a lot of people were puzzled to see David Cronenberg acting. So I checked IMDb, and he does do. Obviously, he's best known as a director, but he does a fair amount of acting as well.
Oh yeah,
so
he's done a lot.
That wasn't the strange thing. The strange thing was the idea that David Cronenberg would have anything to do with a society that uses teleportation machines, because he knows how badly those can turn out.
That is a very good point. That's a really good point.
They brought him as a consultant so that they could make him better. No more accidents on his watch.
The thing about it is, I actually I don't know if you're devoting a separate part of this just to discuss him and Giorgio, but that whole dynamic is, I think, my favorite thing in all of this episode. And there were a lot of good things in this episode, but those scenes were just so brilliantly put together.
Absolutely.
And the fun thing about his character in particular is there's a kind of calmness to his character, and an almost like it's one of those things where there's there's absolute evil hiding behind that absolutely bland exterior that you're seeing. It actually kind of reminds me of Firefly. If you remember, there were these 2 alliance officials that wore blue gloves all the time.
Right.
And yeah, I always call them the dishwashers of doom. But the thing is, it's every time they showed up, you knew something bad was going to happen, but they were always just so bland, and I think that he's that character for this arc. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
I do too. Go ahead.
I think we're going to find out that something else is going on. Like the glasses signify that he might be from the Mirror Universe himself.
Oh,
and that's exactly what Lisbeth is asking.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, that would be so cool.
I mean, he sets himself up as an expert on the topic, and that he's studied the topic his whole life. Maybe his knowledge is experiential.
Oh man, that would be or maybe just Section 31 in this universe, because he's obviously Section 31 clearly. That's there's no other thing that they're setting this up for. But maybe Section 31 in this universe is all Terrans, and that's just where they've gone to after the collapse of the Terran Empire.
Oh, interesting. That's an interesting thought.
And I think That's a very strong possibility, because when they first announced that there would be a Section 31 spinoff, it was, I think, before season 2 even happened.
Yep.
Yes.
So the expectation at that point is that it would be her and Tyler, and Laurel would make an appearance, I'm sure, and these kind of characters, and you would be a continuation of what Section 31 is from the control point, and then on from that. And then she jumps into the future with Discovery, and you think, well, then there has to be some pathway for her to come back if to do that Section 31 show. But what if this is
Right.
the origin of that section, and they all along they had planned it to be in a 32nd century?
Because the one thing is, you notice that they have never attached any of those other actors to the Section 31 show. It's only ever been her.
Mm-hmm.
So
I thought Ash was going to be on the Section 31 show.
So did I.
I don't think that was ever confirmed, though.
Maybe
I
not.
think we assumed it.
And that's okay
I'm
with me.
confirming it. I'm confirming it.
Are you now? Well, maybe
Okay,
he
Amanda.
finds a way into the future. Amanda, hello, Amanda.
Hi, Amanda.
Says, but it's been 500 years since the last crossover.
I don't believe
they
that.
know of. That they know of.
He's
Yeah,
lying.
who told us
He's a liar.
that?
Exactly.
The Section
Exactly.
31 agent told us that.
Exactly. And he did it just to throw her off. So yeah, that's I never considered that he might be Mirror, but that's
I hadn't either,
an
but
interesting proposition.
because they're all light sensitive, supposedly, or at least
Right.
So that would be pretty cool, actually.
And what was that nonsense about how there's something in Terran's genes that's different
Yeah.
different from people in this universe? That didn't appeal to me at all. That sounded like 19th century 19th century horse shit, like phrenology. Like
They measure
I thought-
Terran's heads, and they're slightly different.
exactly. I thought
Right.
they said that, and I thought they were going to get out some calipers to apply to Giorgio's skull just to verify.
Oh my gosh. You go 1,000 years in the future and some things don't change.
Right?
The good old techniques still work. George is not sure that they are in the prime timeline and or dimension. They are.
Oh yeah, they are.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah.
I think they've, well, whatever you see on screen, I think the producer, Kurtzman, has confirmed that they always have been prime and they still are prime.
hmm
It was never their intention to go Kelvin or any other side route.
We don't speak of the Kelvin universe.
Oh, I just did. I'm so sorry.
It's never been anyone's intention to go Kelvin.
Once you go Kelvin,
You
then
can't
you'll
think of
always
a
be Elvin.
rhyme for anything else.
You'll always be Elvin. Anyway, so Vandy Beth, you said that you have 2 pages full of notes
I do.
from this. So is there anything from this part of the episode so far that we haven't covered that you jotted down?
I have to look away from my screen to consult my notes. So
You don't have a teleprompter?
I do not have a teleprompter. Excuse me just a moment.
Oh my gosh. Let me see if I missed any questions. Yes.
The Federation is essentially when they send Discovery off on their mission, they keep Saru
Yeah.
as basically a hostage, which did not sit well with me at all. That seems very un-Federation to me.
Well, he offered.
Right. And also, I don't know that was the intent behind it. I think it was more that I think that it was an entirely reasonable proposition, kind of like, we do want to make sure that you come back. I think it seemed fair to me, especially since they were also sending some of their people with them. And so that made sense. What didn't make sense to me, though, is that none of the future Federation people went down to the ship with the Discovery crew. That didn't make any sense to me at all, because you would think that you'd have a Federation observer watching them the whole time to see what they did. Because
Yes.
I don't know. If you don't trust them, why are you going to trust them with your seed vault?
I'm sorry. That just sounds rude.
I mean, I definitely would not trust you with my seed vault, though.
I wouldn't trust me with your seed vault either. But I don't think you trust me in general anyway. So it's a fair point.
Definitely not.
The thing that didn't sit well with me about Saru staying behind is that meant that Michael gets to command the ship.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a first officer, but they're still going to put her in command of the damn ship.
Well,
yes.
yeah, I don't know. I guess chain of command would make it, but
that's something I thought about last week when they went down to Trill and Dr. Culber decided at the last minute that Michael should go down instead of go down to the planet instead of him, because
that was stupid.
The show is obsessed with putting Michael Burnham in the center of every situation, even things that have zero to do with her.
Exactly. Right. And I really loved it. This is later in the episode. I loved it tonight when the Barzan dude is like, whatever, he's not going to help him or whatever. And Non is talking to him, and Culber's like, Michael, you should go talk to him, because even though she's of the same race, she will never get him convinced to help us the way you can do it.
That was so stupid.
Oh my God. I was like, Jesus Christ.
So forced.
And, and I make this complaint all the time, and people always say, well, she's the star of the show, just like Patrick Stewart was the star of Next Generation. Next Generation was not about Captain Picard.
Right.
So now that there is a show about Captain Picard, it's called Star Trek Picard. So this one should basically be called Star Trek Burnham. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
To the point where they put them in like the most ridiculous situations. Like, Michael, you should go talk to the Barzan, because surely you can convince, even though you have no cultural touchstone with this person at all.
Right.
How come Burnham is never on the panel of this review show?
Well, that's a good point, because she should be the star of this show too. Because it's about
absolutely
Discovery. So,
oh, Lord have mercy. Okay, so we have a couple of things here. Wendy confirms. Wait, what? Hang on. Oh,
yeah, that's right.
This is weird. My husband has latency.
I think he's watching next to me. I don't know.
Wendy says
he's a latent what?
I thought Saru had offered himself. Yes, absolutely. She says that she has a good point about the Federation not sending an observer. Just let them in the seed vault. I'm sorry. We got to stop saying seed vault, because that just makes my mind go to bad places.
We have to say seed vault much more than we have been.
They're not bad places to me, Alan.
And we haven't even got to the seed vault part of the show.
No, we haven't.
We should say seed vault like the word stop shows up in telegrams. Watching Discovery, seed vault.
Seed vault.
Talk to you later, seed vault.
Burnham's doing something else, seed vault.
Seed vault. Well, Lisbeth says, seed vault. I wonder what was going on with Adira during her debriefing. Me too. I'm surprised that they basically pulled her down and said, go examine her, and that was it. No more Adira for the episode. I just thought that was strange to even have her go down, that they requested her specifically.
Right.
So I'm sure that's going to come up again later, but
well, and there was also the line about how, Senatol was ours, but you're not him. Like, I thought that was really actually very rude, but
very rude.
it's also at the same time it's kind of true. I mean, they have established that the new person doesn't get any of the privileges of the old person. So I'm thinking that it's probably related to that, and then that'll probably get tied back into a later episode.
Well, and it's certainly, for a new host, you would naturally have that sort of like familiarity with this person,
Mm-hmm.
and might forget that person has never met you before.
True.
Mhm.
Tony says Burnham did a great job commanding the ship. She absolutely did. I am not knocking. I am not knocking her.
Because Burnham does a great job of everything.
Of everything.
Burnham has never made a mistake ever or done anything wrong ever.
I mean, wait a minute. The whole show happened because she made a mistake.
Well, okay.
A big one.
That's a fair point.
I mean, come on.
But yeah, she did a good job commanding the ship, but that's beside the point. It's
right.
No one's saying she's not a good leader.
Yeah.
Right. Right. Saru would have done a good job commanding the ship had he gone and she stayed behind.
Sure.
So anyway, Wendy praises me. The whole bit where Michael takes command was like a whole scene. Well, maybe she doesn't praise me then. I don't know what she means by that. But yes, it was a whole scene where she is basically driving the ship. George says, all the forcing of everything this episode is the reason for my score. Aha. I see.
That makes sense.
Okay. Can't argue with that.
Right. Amanda says she's a master convincer. And that's one thing that I really wanted to talk about tonight is she was very sort of forceful and in your face young lady tonight, to the point where Saru had to put her down a step or two twice.
Yeah.
And I love that when they're on the ship and they're having the discussion about their plan of action and why we aren't being used by Starfleet, and she goes, okay, so here's what we should do. We should get our hands on this stuff, and we should do this and then this and then this.
Mm-hmm.
And he says,
get our hands on. Yeah, I like that.
We aren't gonna do that.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really cool interchange between the two of them.
Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
That felt like a real thing that would happen, because she spent the last year being all bounty hunter-ish, I guess, or courier-ish, but now she's got to be back in a structure, and he's never been out of the structure. So
right.
Oh, and Saru is a more senior officer than her.
Right.
And that puts me back into the initial scene where they first come down to Starfleet. I thought it was very interesting that we now have a count of Federation worlds. We're at 38 now, when we used to have 350.
Mm-hmm.
And that's 38 that they know of, whatever the hell that means.
Right.
And I know that they don't have contact with everybody, but how would they not know? Unless they just think, what if somebody left the Federation and we haven't heard from them yet?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, have they told us? I mean, we know warp travel doesn't work as well as it used to, but what about subspace communication?
They did mention
the long range arrays had broken down, so they don't have long range communications either.
Right. Okay.
It's a very limited amount of space that they have. So
right. But it's interesting that in that 38 Federation worlds, at least 2 are new to us and to the crew, and that's Kaminar and Barzan.
Yep.
That's really cool that they both found out that their worlds are now Federation worlds. I thought that was just a neat little touch.
And I thought it was an interesting callback, actually, that Nan was like, well, we're known for poverty. I mean, because that was actually a point in the original episode where they appeared, was that they were a very poor world.
Yes.
And I liked that, she found out that they finally joined the Federation, which was cool. And we also got a little bit more, because there was that question about how is there a Barzan in Starfleet? And I guess she's another one of those races that joined Starfleet without actually her world being a member of the Federation. So,
Yep.
Yeah, well, we know that happens often. Worf joins Starfleet when Klingon was not part of the Federation. Nog joined Starfleet under those conditions. Data was essentially a man without a nation when he joined Starfleet. So
Mhm.
so that's not unheard of at all.
Right, that's true. But it means it still was nice to have that kind of established a little bit
Mhm.
more, and but also
Agreed.
to know that they actually did eventually join the Federation.
Yes. Wendy says, oh, sorry. Wendy, Seed Vault, says, I wasn't thrilled with this episode either. Seemed very uneven. Lots of stuff I was questioning, Seed Vault. And I say that to honor Amanda's request of more Seed Vault.
I hope this doesn't become a thing.
It
I don't
has
think-
already become a thing. That horse is out of the barn.
Oh, I want to close the door on the
And-
thing, but
That horse is out of the seed vault.
Hang on. Talk amongst yourselves. I need to do a thing.
Okay.
okay.
So,
I
Vandy
like
Beth, you have other notes, so do a
Yeah. Nan says, Nan said, Barzans don't have the same idea of death as humans.
Right.
But then doesn't elaborate on it at all. Like,
Yeah, as far as I could tell, what she meant by that was Barzans are in denial about death.
yeah, I had no idea what she was trying to convey with that, because it's like, I mean, what exactly does that mean? Like, what, that death doesn't happen? Like, on Barzan, just like they prop up all of their dead until it's just completely obvious that, like, you know, things are rotting. Like, is that what that means?
It's a whole planet of Weekend at Bernie's.
don't,
Weekend at Barzan.
don't go into Grandma's bedroom. It's like a whole planet of creepy Faulkner stories.
Oh my God. This is by far the silliest show that we've done. And here we have a new proposed spin-off show, Star Trek Seed Vault. I'm behind it, man. I'm behind it.
Yeah.
I would actually love to see a spinoff that's on one of the generation ships. That would be pretty cool. You know, like, that would be pretty awesome. I mean, it would be very, you know, much more classic sci-fi. Be like, what if DS9 went places? You know, but it's all the same people, but they're in new places each time, just a little further out.
If they did that, I'd want it to be like an anthology series where each new season is the next generation. No pun intended. The next generation.
yeah.
I would actually love that.
before.
That would be really cool.
I agree. I think that'd be phenomenal.
And then you could have a Trill crew member that's like it's always their new host or something.
Right. Exactly. That would be our viewpoint character, because it's the symbiont's the only character who carries through from season to season.
And my cat has come for a visit. So
Okay.
yeah, Harley says hi.
Hello.
Hi, Harley. All right. The bit with Adira was another weird thing that was a throwaway and made me wonder, like, we will come back to that. Oh, I think that there's definitely something from that scene, that all those scenes that we didn't see, that's going to come up in the season. And I
Right.
really thought that the part of the mystery of this season that we found out tonight is this melody. that
Yeah.
Different people in different places that are completely unconnected all seem to know. I mean, it's almost like a fucking Rick Astley song.
Or it's an echo of the Red Angel through the subspace ether that is going to connect back to Burnham in some way.
You don't
Well,
say.
Well, that whole thing about the melody confused me, because I don't remember them telling us who originally wrote the song. And
Nope.
Adira just said that it was something that or Gray, I think, said it was something that his mother used to sing to him.
Yes.
okay, fine, but you know, the song could be Happy Birthday. And,
Exactly.
And no one's gonna say, hey, how do you know Happy Birthday?
I
We
know.
sing Happy Birthday on our planet.
Exactly. I did think it was strange that she made such a big deal out of the fact that three people had heard the same song.
Mhm.
Right.
But
I mean,
obviously
yes,
it's gonna be a
they
big
are.
thing.
Okay, Amanda says that pesky war was kind of a mistake.
Yeah.
Oh, that
Yeah.
back to that part.
Right.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that pesky war. We
Hmm.
wouldn't have a third season of Discovery without that war. Burnham was showing how well the crew works together. Absolutely. And I thought that was a really great sequence, not only with the bridge crew, but once we get down into engineering. Okay. Speaking of engineering, we had a Jet Reno episode this
Mhm.
week.
Yes.
Thank
Yes, we
goodness,
did.
because she's the best character on the show.
Absolutely.
By far.
So I know that, they have limited time with her. She doesn't want to be a series regular, so they contract however many episodes they have for her for the season, and then they think, okay, where should we put Tig Notaro? And they come up with, for some reason, episode 5, where I don't see the point of having her in this episode. I think she would have been much better used, maybe at fewer scenes, but she would have been much better used in last week's Thanksgiving dinner scenes. Maybe. I just think that, there just didn't seem a reason for her to be there, except to say
Disagree.
snarky things, which I'm never opposed to.
Well, I
Tig
think
Notaro's
yeah.
snark.
Okay, but I actually do think that it was kind of relevant in there because the whole thing of like the dysfunction is
Sure.
yeah. So it's kind of like, I mean, it does kind of show how they glue together
Mhm.
differently maybe than the rest of the crew do.
Yeah.
Well, those
I mean-
scenes were my favorite scenes in the whole episode. I absolutely love them, and I wouldn't have changed a word of dialogue in them. And I those three characters together, I think, are
Yeah.
just
Oh, yeah.
perfection. They are.
I love them a lot.
I wouldn't
They
mind
are-
an entire episode of just those three characters. Like, on Next Gen or whatever, they used to do the episode where, three people jump in a shuttle and then they go somewhere and
Yep.
then they have this thing that happens and it's all about those
Mhm.
three people.
Right.
Let's have a shuttle episode with those three characters.
Definitely.
And except Burnham would have to be there somehow.
Well,
She would be the one to come and rescue them in another shuttle.
yeah, but before that happens, the subject of conversation for all of them would be Michael Burnham.
Right.
What Michael
Mhm.
means to them.
Exactly.
Harley,
And then, of course, well, never mind. We're getting off into a side topic. Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that I'm running a little bit behind on my comments. So Tony said, remember that Burnham has been away from Starfleet for a year, and that's absolutely true. Elizabeth says, set up an increasing tension between Saru and Burnham. Yes. And speaking of tension, we haven't gotten a revisit of the real tension between Georgiou and Saru yet. I mean, we saw that in the first episode with these characters.
Mhm.
And it's not really played too much since then. And I'm kind of looking forward to revisiting that scenario.
Yeah. But I mean, there was stuff going on with Georgiou in this episode, and not
Yeah, oh,
everything, not everything about not every story point involving Georgiou has to also be about Saru, or has to be about her relationship with Saru.
No, but it has to be about what I want it to be about.
Well, you can't always get what you want.
Right.
So speaks the Rolling Stones. Anyway.
Hmm.
I'm waiting for Michael to fork up, and I say that because I am like super into Good Place right now, to fork up and go too far, break her promise to Saru about being good, and can he forgive her? Well, yes, he can forgive her. I wonder if that's where we're going to go with these two characters.
She's gonna mute me
Yeah.
again.
Lord, of
I don't
course
see
you will.
that. I don't see that happening. I think, yeah, their relationship's in a different place now. It's not about antagonism between them.
Right.
There can be conflict, but it's not going to boil over into anything like that. I don't think.
Yeah. Patrick. Hi, Patrick. What I'd like to know is what's going on with Philippa. The scene with Cronenberg and then her being in a trance later on. The
Yes.
trance scene was very weird. And if you watch the trailer for next week, something even weirder happens.
Mm-hmm.
That's completely unexplained thus far. So yeah, there's something definitely going on with her that I think is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh my God, there are so many comments. Holy crap. Amanda says, I just about cried when Saru found out his world was in the Federation. That was a really sweet moment.
That was sweet.
Yeah.
George says, why I think they aren't where they are supposed to be, too much coincidence. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know. It's a very heavily plotted show, so there's going to be as much
yeah.
coincidence as the writers need. That's down to the writers. I mean, I think it's a little bit lazy that both Kaminar and Barzan are now in the Federation, and it just so happens that they have a Kelpian and a Barzan crew member to be aware of this fact. Like,
Yeah, true.
That I think that's a little bit of lazy writing. It's nice, but it's lazy. So
I hate the phrase lazy writing. Oh, I hate it.
I'm
None
sorry,
of these
Alan.
people are lazy. it gets lobbed at Doctor Who all the time, and
Well, for good reason, but
Yeah, for very good reason. In that case.
Stop. Just when Non was getting interesting, she leaves. Agreed.
Agreed. Oh, it was so sad. I love her.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather her have stayed behind and be in the Captain Pike show next year than to have been in 4 episodes of this and then split. Now, I'm sure she'll show up again later in the season. I mean, there's no reason to have spent so much time on her and to leave her in a place where it's, a fairly important thing and her not come back later.
Right.
When we least expect it.
Yeah. Or in the last episode when help comes from all different angles and then Non shows up with the seed vault. Seed vault.
And with Attis. With the corpse of Attis.
Yes.
That might still reanimate and she hasn't buried it yet.
Right. Yeah, now that's another thing. That Attis wouldn't go to the Discovery because he wouldn't leave his family. And the obvious solution to that was not to let Attis die, but to just beam the corpses of his family to Discovery's sickbay with him.
Right. Exactly. How can that not have been suggested?
Yes, you're still with your family, but now we have doctors. We're going to treat you and you'll get well, and then you can take your dead family and go wherever you want with them.
Well, I guess also that they still had to have somebody stay behind on the seed vault to protect the seeds. So, maybe Non would have done that regardless of whether the dude and the 3 corpses, went up to Discovery. I don't know.
True. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I thought that was, I mean, now that she's been like main credits, like opening credits listed, she splits. I just thought that was weird. Grandma's bedroom. Talk about a seed vault.
Ew.
So
he also says,
unnecessary.
yeah, Star Trek Space 1999. Hey, no reason not to use a good concept. My husband called the melody BSG bullshit.
Oh, right.
Highly agree. Highly agree.
The song was not
I'd forgotten
on the
about that.
Watchtower.
I had forgotten about that.
I swear to God, if Burnham is the final Cylon, I'm never watching the show again.
Bad Wolf. That's a Doctor Who thing.
Yes.
I'm sure everybody knows that. Oh
We
my God,
know.
there's so
We
many
know,
comments.
Alan.
We do know, Alan. Yeah, Alan.
I'm talking to the audience, not to you two. Are there snacks? Because I'm kind of hungry.
Okay.
No, that was my favorite Reno scene.
Yep.
Was the interrogation. God, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Those 3 would kill each other in a shuttle.
As long as Stamets goes first, I'm fine.
All right.
Mm.
The future Starfleet uniforms are the new Mighty Maroon. I want one.
They were kind of they were okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But
It's interesting that the shots that we had of the Admiral and one other character in the trailer from last week people were saying how they have sort of a similar look to a Bajoran uniform, and they were like, "What if they get the coordinates and they go and find Starfleet and it's on Bajor?"
Yeah, no.
No, but it's
Well,
not. I mean,
yeah,
it didn't seem to be on any planet for one.
no, true.
It's just,
Okay, and also I just as a total tangent, but the whole that mechanism they used to hide that was really obvious. You could see that a long way away. That was not hiding anything. Like, it was super obvious. I don't know what the whole point of that was, but anyway, small minor gripe.
Yeah. Well, and maybe it was only partially shrouded because a ship that needs to find it is heading toward it and they know it's coming. And then once it gets in, it'll go like complete shoom.
I mean, that
You
would
know?
be cool too, I guess, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It was it's just kind of like, you're not fooling anybody, guys. That's pretty
I know.
obvious.
I'm just spitballing here. I'm just
Yeah.
spitballing in the seed vault. Burnham will disobey eventually. That's likely.
yeah, I mean, that's kind of her brand.
Burnham's greatest hit. Philippa is buffering.
I like it.
Non-leaving is also the reason for the rating. Ah, another one. Okay.
Oh, well, thank
So-
God you crossed that T for us, George.
Meow, Vandy Beth.
I was really starting to like Non. And I'm sorry, but all I can think of is the bread.
Yeah.
I was thinking
And-
that
And
too.
I do love Non, personally.
Oh,
Yeah,
I loved her interrogation too. That was pretty great.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We know her first initial is D.
Yeah.
That's
Dinan.
something. Dinan.
Dinan denied.
Okay.
Tony says that the Starfleet is hidden from sensor sweeps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until you get close enough to see it. And then, oops, I missed one. It's all fair, Vandy Beth. And Amanda says maybe the field is only invisible to long range sensors.
Sure.
Definitely
Hmm.
is.
That would make
Okay.
sense.
So, where did we leave off? Now that we're all caught up on comments, woohoo! There was one kind of throwaway reference that we got twice tonight that I thought was an interesting development, and that is the Emerald Chain.
Yep.
Which is a new alliance. And we found this out in the first episode. One of the first things that Burnham learns about the future is that Andorians and Orions are now working together.
Mhm.
Now, that's all she knows, that she saw some individuals and they are partners in this mercantile city that they were. But now we find out that they're aligned worlds,
Mhm.
and they go under the name the Emerald Chain. And I think that's kind of an interesting development. I wonder how much of a plot point they are going to be later in the season.
I'm guessing
A major one?
Yeah. And because Burnham's the only one who's been in this universe or been in this part of the universe for long enough to have any background, she'll be super important to that plot line.
Okay, we have ragged way too much on Burnham tonight. We will, and
I'll
I
be
don't,
nice to her for the rest of the evening.
and I don't dislike Burnham.
I don't either.
I
I
love
don't.
her. I think she's a phenomenal
she's-
character.
She is
She's
great.
She just doesn't have to be in every scene
Yeah. That's my
or the most important factor in every episode. Which, Vandy Beth, you weren't here on last week's show, but one of the things that I enjoyed about it was that even though she was with Adira on Trill,
Mhm.
the whole Trill sequence wasn't about Burnham.
Yep.
And I just thought it was nice. I mean, yes, of course she had to be there, but it was nice that it wasn't Burnham centered.
Yeah.
And why is it called teal?
Yeah, see,
Oh.
that is a good point, but emerald actually it's normally green. It can be kind of shifting toward blue-green, but
Mhm.
yeah, because it's Andorians and Orions and you have blue skin and green skin people,
Mhm.
that was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah. The blues and the greens. How did Ferenginar let that alliance happen? That's a good point.
I don't think that they had the power without their like the burn is going to make it to where they don't have nearly the merchant power they did before. So
That's true, but in the whole scheme of couriers, you would expect that there would be some Ferengi who would have shifted to that platform. So anyway,
it should be called the Pantone 17-5024 Alliance.
unless of course you're going by the HTML code, and then
Right.
what would it be? Hashtag.
Yes, hashtag some 6-digit number.
Oh God. And Lisbeth is she's laughing at Teal. That's what I know, the Teal Alliance.
that doesn't have the same oomph to it.
No, not quite.
No.
Okay. Is there any point that we haven't covered? Vandy Beth, consult your notes.
Well, when Saru said to the Admiral, have you ever heard of the painter Giotto? And the Admiral said, where are you going with this? I thought the Admiral is summing up the entire audience's thoughts right now.
Yep.
Right. Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny.
And going forward with Discovery in the 32nd century, it makes sense that you would want to keep Discovery's crew together.
Mm-hmm.
It also makes sense that you'd want to debrief every single one of them
Yes.
about their experiences and about the time they came from, because they are a treasure trove for historians, if nothing else. But it also makes sense that they would send a few dozen ride-alongs to join Discovery's crew to, for example, learn all they can about the spore drive and about all the sphere data.
Done. I assumed that they would have put like a bunch of people on Discovery and had them be part of the crew, like rotate out even like half of the crew to be observers with it. Like it doesn't make sense to just have 3 people come to observe and then let the crew just do whatever they want. Like if these people are not to be trusted, then the crew can easily overpower the 3 people and just like.
Hang on a second.
Okay, Vandy Beth.
I'm sorry. You should have closed your little door before you left. But you did not.
So
sorry about that.
Also about that, the very first thing that I would have done upon hearing the story, if I were the Federation, is like spore drive, instantaneous transport anywhere. We have programmable matter. We have spore drive specs. Right. We are instantly going to retrofit our entire fleet to have this now, immediately, and then continue on with that. Like I understand.
That is true, but the one element that we're still missing is a navigator. We only have Stamets. So we still So we still have to come up with a way of having a navigator and having a navigator installed on multiple spore equipped ships.
Well, just find the spice and then
Hi, Kitty.
God, Kitty. Just find the spice and then have a bunch of navigators. And the spice.
Exactly.
There we go.
The future doesn't have giant tardigrades.
Don't know, but we know that from the first season that it was torture to the creatures, and that's why they stopped using it.
But honestly, I mean, Tilly and Reno will solve that problem soon enough.
I know they will. And that's going to be part of the development of this, because there's bringing the ship into the 32nd century. You have to find a way to make the spore drive special and relevant, and the way to do that is to get rid of deep space travel.
Yep.
And cripple Starfleet, and they've done that, which makes the spore drive now. Because the whole argument has always been that how can you have a ship with technology this advanced and it never have been on or mentioned by any other later Star Trek show?
Yep.
So They have now put the spore drive in a timeline where It is relevant. It's new. It's progressive. It's important. So it's going to be the key to reunifying. And which
It's
week is it that we
progressive?
get? Huh? Yes.
Did you say it's progressive? It's
Yes.
woke technology?
Not that. No, of course not. I mean, it can be. I mean, it is mushrooms after all. And now I don't remember what I was going to say. Anyway,
which episode were we going to get unification?
Oh, unification. Is that 2 from now?
I'm looking. Yeah, so episode 7. So yeah, 2 from now.
Okay, awesome. So either we're going to encounter Romulans and Vulcans then, or it's going to be something about unifying the fleet.
Right.
I'm more interested in seeing the Vulcans and the Romulans and the Klingons.
Mhm.
Did you say Romulans and Vulcans or Romulans and Klingons?
Romulans and Vulcans.
I don't know. I'm on drugs.
All right, then I agree. I agree with you.
Let's see. Elizabeth says the CIC will probably keep an observer and will replace Non. Yeah, that's likely. Tony says I can't wait to see the retrofits if they do them. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
Wendy says Kitty.
Yes.
As we all did too. And Wendy says, I hope Grudge shows up in next week's along with Book. I'm sure that she will. She is a queen.
If not, we riot.
Exactly. Okay, so we're down to the last couple of minutes. Let's do our rating and reason for the rating, starting with Fendi Beth.
I give it 8 dead families out of 10.
Holy shit. Okay.
And each family is 3 dead family members. So that's actually more like a 27 out of 30.
That's a combined score of.
Yeah.
Okay, Dove, what's your rating out of 10?
I give it 7 contrived plot coincidences out of 10. I mean, ultimately, I think that it was a great episode that had a lot of fun things happening in it. I don't think that it had nearly the gravitas that we had from last week, obviously, but it established a lot of things, kept everything moving forward, and it gave us still a lot of good character and crew moments.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. So you gave it what? A 7?
7.
7. Okay, because that's mine too. I'm giving it a 7 seed vaults out of 10. Okay. A couple of last comments before we split. I wonder if Romulans are still doing the shoulder pads.
Well, as of Picard, I don't think they're doing it anymore. So.
Well, I mean, we are in the 3180s. Get it? 80s.
I get it, Alan. I get it. I wish I didn't.
Romulans wouldn't be Romulans without the shoulder pads. If they don't
Correct.
if they don't look like they've just come from a quilting bee, then
Quilted Northern. Okay, what do you think the Klingons look like now? I can't stop thinking about that. I really want to know.
I almost don't want to see Klingons on the show so that they don't solve that, because I'm not a fan of them retconning this again to a new look, and I feel like they should just leave it alone. And so if they never show the Klingons ever again, the entire fleet, died in the burn, and we just leave it at that, then I think that it would at least solve that problem. But I'm probably not going to get that wish.
Do the Vulcans have a new homeworld?
why would they? Why would they need one?
Yeah, the Romulan homeworld is the one that died. I don't think the Vulcan homeworld did.
Yeah, planet Vulcan is just fine.
Yeah,
he must be confusing it with the Kelvin timeline where Vulcan was destroyed.
Which never happened, because that's not really Star Trek, but
5 out of 10 from Lisbeth. Too much contrivance and holes I hope will be filled in soon. Wendy agrees with a 5 out of 10. Boy, this is not a popular episode. Damn.
I didn't think it was that bad.
And George says,
it's not bad.
Lullaby, Federation Worlds, and Philippa Glitch.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Are those the other? He named 3 points that took his score down. Maybe those are the other 3. Can't be. Okay, so thank you all for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. We will
Thanks
be.
for having us.
Let's see who's on next week's show, shall we?
Mhm.
Let's see. Vandy Beth. Oh no, Anthony Williams and Vandy Beth, and that's it so far.
Cool.
But I think that's plenty. I think we have a good discussion with the 2 of you. All right.
I agree.
Oh wait, George has one last thing. Oh, those are the reasons he thinks this is all a simulation.
Let it go, George.
This,
Let it go.
this isn't WandaVision. This isn't WandaVision. This is not that.
Oh my God, I can't wait for
Neither can I.
January. Holy shit, WandaVision is going to be so awesome.
I'm so hyped.
Dude, that's going to be the best show ever created.
It really is.
One last time, Seed Vault.
See you,
Thank you,
Paul.
Wendy.
Vault.
Okay, so I will see you guys later. Vandy Beth, I'll see you next week.
Yep.
And everybody out in the audience, take care. Have a great week. Thanks for watching Star Trek Discovery, and thanks for joining in on our little show with us. We had a good time. I speak for myself, not for
I had a
anyone
great
else.
time.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Vandy Beth? Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Time well spent.
I am relieved. All right, so everybody have a great week. Be nice to each other. Do good works. And we will see you next time. So, bye.
Bye.